And part of the American way has been striking when you're screwed by your employer. Look at what's going on in Michigan right now. I mean, this is not so much the strike as the protest. That's also part of America. In fact, we were born in protest. You know, the Boston Tea Party in the fall of 1773. It was the first protest against transnational corporations. Arguably, that was the pressure, that pushing back, that birthing of our nation in a protest. I was going to say a riot, but it was quiet. In fact, George Robert Twelvetree Hughes, who was the only person there who actually wrote an account of it, said it was the quietest night Boston had seen in years because they worked in silence, these guys, when they busted open the chests and threw the tea in the harbor. But anyhow, we were birthed in protest, and I would say for the first 20, 30, 40 years of this nation's history, the reason why we didn't have plutocrats, and we didn't, I mentioned to you, I've been reading Krista Freeland's book, Plutocrats, which is just brilliant. And in her first chapter, she adds a lot of documentation to a summary that I have in What Would Jefferson Do, my book, which points out that basically even the richest of the so-called rich white guys who started this country were paupers compared to the rich in Europe. And that the first 30 years of American history was the time in this country's history. Now, this was after the Revolution when the genuinely rich people fled the country, went to Canada or to the UK, was the most egalitarian time in the history of this country. The difference between rich and poor was smaller from the 1780s until the 1820s than ever before or ever since. So anyhow, in that spirit and in the spirit of the great Flint sit-down strike of 1935 and all the labor efforts that have gone on, 10,000 workers converged on the Michigan State Capitol today for the latest labor battle in what's been a 3 decades-long losing war for labor rights in America. And with their backs now against the wall, Michigan unions face annihilation and the subsequent annihilation of organized labor across America, or redemption. It's largely through unions that working Americans get living wages, the 40-hour work week, benefits, pensions, so that they can raise a family, they can reach the American dream, retire comfortably. The middle class was built by organized labor. But today the unions are dying. It was disconcerting back in February this year when Indiana transformed into a right-to-work-for-less state, a sign that the union busters had moved into the nation's Rust Belt, where organized labor was born. And it's downright frightening now that Michigan, the home of the powerful auto unions, has suffered, or looks like it's suffering, the same fate. Just consider this. I mean, here's some stats for you. Michigan is the 5th most unionized state in the nation. Nearly 1/3 of all the voters living in Michigan live in union households. But here's the problem. Michigan's labor community is just made up of average working people. Even the labor bosses, union bosses, are basically average working people who got elected by their peers to the position of being a labor boss, president of the union kind of thing. But Dick DeVos and the Koch brothers, these guys have a fortune. I mean, the Koch brothers alone laundered over $900,000 through the Republican Governors Association to get Rick Snyder elected in Michigan. And so using that as leverage, they forced Rick Snyder to renege on earlier promises that he had made to his state when he was running for election, and even afterward when he was testifying under oath before Congress. And he said, oh, no, we're not going to do right to work for less. He turned his back on working people. He threw his support behind Michigan becoming the 24th right to work for less state in America. Talk about the rise of the Confederacy. So now workers in Michigan can expect lower wages, minimal benefits, more deadly workplace accidents, all that stuff that comes with right to work for less laws, wherever they pop up. And the labor unions in Michigan will watch helplessly if this law stands as critical revenue dries up, because basically what right to work for less laws say is if you work in a union shop And therefore, you get the benefits of the contract that the union negotiated for you. You get the good paycheck. You get the union representing you in disputes. You get the good benefits. You get the decent pension. You get whatever it may be. You get all that stuff that the union made happen. If you live in a what is it called, free bargaining state, the other 26 states, 27 states, then and a majority, more than 50% of you and your peers have voted to have a union in your workplace. In other words, democratically you've chosen to have a union. Then everybody who benefits from the union has to pay union dues. But in a right to work for less state, this is the beginning and end of what right to work for less is all about. This is it. In a right to work for less, and this is why people like Rick Snyder, lie about this stuff and call it choice. It's worker choice. In a right to work for less state, if you're a member of the union and you're getting all those benefits of the union, you don't have to pay the dues if you don't want to. You are voluntarily asked to pay your union dues. And the result of that is that, there's some people who say, hey, I'm going to pay my union dues no matter what. I was working at Clear Channel in Portland when we were a union shop at KPOJ. And we were represented by AFTRA. And, that Clear Channel group had a right-wing station and a left-wing station and a bunch of music stations, and they held a vote and they decertified the union. They said, we're not going to be a union shop anymore. And I went down to HR and I said, keep taking the union dues out of my paycheck. I'm going to continue to be a member of the union, even if this group is not. And I am to this day. But, so there's going to be some people who are going to say, yeah, I want to continue paying my union dues. But there's also going to be some people going, hey, I could take an extra $20 a week or whatever it is. It'll be, for somebody, it'll be $10 a week. Or for somebody else, it'll be, 50 or 100, or it depends on how much money they're making. But hey, I could take a little extra, it's called being a freeloader. The right to work for less laws really should be called the union freeloader laws, or the freeload on the union, or the screw your union laws. So, the Koch strategy can be summed up in one sentence. Here it is. If we can make this happen in Michigan, then we can make it happen in any state in the union. And given what's happened to organized labor all over America ever since the Reagan presidency, the takedown of Michigan may just signal the beginning of the end of labor unions as we know them. And that would be a disaster for America. We can't ever write off the power of organized working people, but the trends are pretty hard to ignore. I mean, starting in the 60s, union representation began to decline. This was the result of Taft-Hartley, but it really crashed after Reagan moved into the White House and busted up PATCO in '81. A third of the American workforce was unionized 40 years ago. Today, it's just above a tenth, and if you're looking at private sector unions, less than 7%. So the corporatists and the conservatives, they're now smelling blood. And they have put the last remaining strongholds of organized labor, a.k.a. Michigan, my home state, into their crosshairs. I mean, they went after them in Wisconsin, and they went after them in Ohio, and they lost. But unionized cops and firefighters, they're losing their jobs thanks to conservative austerities policies at the state level. In Camden, New Jersey, the most dangerous city in America, the entire unionized police force is getting pink slips. They're going to be replaced by scabs. Teachers' unions under assault. Postal Service, they want to break that up. It's the largest unionized employer in America. I mean, there's a genuine war on working people going on here, and Michigan right now is ground zero.